Hello everybody, it's the Historical Gamer once again, and today we're going to be taking a first look at a brand new game which came out today called Close Combat: The Bloody First. This video may be going up a couple of hours before the game actually unlocks on Steam. I'm not sure the exact timing. And this is actually our second video looking at Close Combat: The Bloody First. Our first was a sneak peek of sort of a preview build or a beta build. This is our first look at the finished product. So this game comes out today. It is published by Slitherine Games, and this is the newest iteration in the Close Combat series, which looks specifically at the campaigns of the United States Army's 1st Infantry Division, also known as the Big Red One. The Big Red One was significant because it fought in all of the major campaigns of the Western Theater, in the sense that it fought in North Africa, in Tunis. It fought in Sicily on the Italian, in the Italian campaign. Didn't actually go up the peninsula, but at least it fought in the campaign, the initial campaigns in Italy. And then it was pulled out of Italy and sent to Europe to help spearhead the D-Day invasions in France and the eventual drive into liberating Western Europe. And so this is one of those rare divisions that saw combat in all three major theaters in the Western theater, and sort of was famed for its, I guess, for its lineage, its history. It had a famous history in World War I as well, and so this is an interesting topic to look at. There's actually a feature film, I think it's called The Big Red One, which has Mark Hamill of Star Wars fame, and it's one of the few major feature films that he was in outside of Star Wars. I know he did a lot of animated work, but anyway, that's neither here nor there. This is significant for the Close Combat series because it is the first time after more than, well, almost 15 years, right? I think the first one came out in the mid-90s. Or actually, no, that'd be 20 years. Jeez, time flies. In the entire series where the game is in 3D. So previously, the games used, I believe, mostly pixel art, and they were 2D top-down tactical games. So the Combat Missions series was more of like a 3D ground view of tactical squad operations in World War II, whereas Close Combat was a real-time tactical game that gave you sort of a topographical look, but without any 3D, and it was just sort of this top-down look, and you'd move squads through towns and villages, but without the actual 3D element of it, which could make things like, elevation and things more difficult, line of sight more difficult than in a game like Combat Mission, but it also gave a little bit more of a kind of a, I don't know if board game's the right view, but just sort of this God's eye view of your command, which was appealing in a lot of ways. Close Combat also has something that Combat Mission doesn't have, and historically I think is excelled at, is sort of this campaign system of linked operations, where it's not just one tactical sort of obstacle you're overcoming, but really it's a series of linked battles over the course of either a war or a campaign. And I think this really hit its stride, and sort of its best performance, even after all these years, was in Close Combat 2, which looked at Operation Market Garden. I think the more narrowly defined scope of that campaign and the nature of sort of a few key choke points that needed to be fought over worked really well for that. Now, that's enough of me rambling. Let's go ahead and jump into the game. So we're going to go ahead and play the game. We're actually going to resume the grand campaign. So you can play 3 different campaigns. You can play in Tunisia, Sicily, Normandy, or you can play them all linked as the Big Red One. I had someone ask in one of my previous videos, can you play as the Germans? Yes, you can. You can see you can click up here to switch sides between American and German. But given this is named the Bloody First, we are going to be fighting as the Americans. We do have this game saved. It's the Grand Campaign. We're actually going to be playing the second battle, and this is going to be my first effort of the second battle in the Grand Campaign. We won the first battle relatively easily, but I'm not sure what to expect in the second battle because I haven't fought it yet. Okay, so the situation report is Sabiba, 1200 hours, February 20th, 1943. The first battle was in late 1942, by the way. The notorious German Field Marshal Erwin Rommel has divided his forces, sending troops and tanks from the 21st Panzer Division north towards Sabiba, while the rest of the African Corps strikes west. In their way are elements of the 1st and 34th Infantry Divisions. Rommel has gambled and made a duller spear point in the process. Elements of the 21st Panzer Division are on their own, unsupported by the larger German forces heading toward Kasserine. Recent Axis attacks have driven your troops back. Now is the time to show that your men can fight and hold their ground. Maintain positions on Sabiba Ridge, and if the opportunity presents, counterattack and drive the Germans back toward Sabitalia. Okay? So that's sort of the operational situation. You can see this is a sub-operation. So I mentioned that close combat bridge too far sort of had these linked scenarios, these linked battles, where you could fight back and forth over a limited number of maps as the campaign progressed. Well, this is an operation. This is Operation Sabiba, which is taking place in the Tunisia campaign, and there are these 3 maps. So there's the map of Sabiba Town, Sabiba Ridge, and Sabiba Counterattack. So presumably these are 3 different maps that we can fight over. Currently, Sabiba Town is under American control, as represented by this American flag. Sabiba Ridge is contested, which is why you've got this sort of the German cross and the American sort of star splitting the top left of this map. And then you've got the Sabiba Counterattack, which is all German, which means this 3rd map here is completely controlled by the Germans at the moment. We're going to be fighting over Sabiba Ridge, but depending on how this battle goes, we could either continue in the next battle fighting over this same map, or fighting over Sabiba Town or the Sabiba Counterattack maps, again, depending on how this battle goes. Our unit strength, well, this is the beginning of a brand new operation. So even though we're within the grand campaign, we're within this new operation. So I guess, you've got the grand campaign, which spans the entire theater, but it's not just like Scenario 1, Scenario 2, Scenario 3, Scenario 4. It's Operation 1. You fight that, and that could be 2 battles, or it could be 10 battles, depending on how the outcomes of the battles go. You could have a lot of back and forth, or you could just steamroll the enemy. And so within each one of those, you sort of have these sub-campaigns that are waged over these different maps that you have to fight and try and gain decisive control over. And throughout the course of an operation, your unit's strength could decline, your supply could decline, your fatigue could go down, your morale could go down, etc. You can see here on the bottom of the map, we have our orders. In this particular battle within this operation, I am on the defensive. The enemy is the initiative and will decide the pace and timing of his attacks. If you're able to force the enemy to retreat off map, you can choose to seize the initiative yourself and counterattack, which would be this map. The enemy's choice will determine the exact time of the next battle. So again, when you are in the attack, you have some leeway to decide when you're going to attack, and that can influence things like how many men you have and other things like that. You can see up here in the top right, Tunisia campaign. This operation takes place between December 23rd and May 1st. The operation is Sabiba. The campaign takes place between December 23rd and May 1st. The operation takes place between February 20th and February 21st. Currently, it is 1,200 hours, February 20th, 1943. There is 1 day and 6 hours left. There is 1 day and 6 hours left in this operation. The next friendly map is Sabiba Town. That means if we fall back, this is the next battle we would fight. If we win and drive the enemy off the current map, the next enemy map is Sabiba Counterattack, which is over here. And so we're in that probably is more relevant when you have more than 3 maps, where it's like, which one's the next one? But anyway. All right, so we'll go ahead and hit next. Sabiba Ridge. Dig in and defend Sabiba Ridge and stop the advance of German panzers. You have mortar and artillery and air support. Use this firepower to pin German infantry and then pick off their tanks with your anti-tank guns. Your rifle and tank hunter teams also have anti-tank rifle grenades, though these are a weapon of last resort. Alright, so the force balance here. It looks like the enemy's force is much stronger, so you kind of have a little graphical representation here with the red representing the German forces and the blue representing the Allied forces. You can see here's the map up here. I can kind of get a sort of a very crude drawing type deal. We can see we're going to be on the right side of the map. We've got several objectives that are already in our hands. We've got one that's disputed up here, and here's the German entry point on the map. If we take the German entry point and this map, we can drive them off the map. But we can see the force balance is going to favor the Germans. The reputation, interestingly enough, is favoring the big red one. I don't know why. The German reputation is lower. Strength, supply, fatigue, morale are all about even. You can see the Americans have air, artillery, support as represented by these icons over here, while the Germans have no fire support in their corner. And we also have the little entrenchment icon representing that our troops are dug in. So we'll go ahead and move forward. You can see here we can have up to 12 main force units and 3 supporting units. So currently we have the 1st Platoon headquarters, the 1st Squads /1 BAR team, the 2nd Squad /1 BAR team, the 3rd Squad /1 BAR team. So I'm assuming this is the 1st Squad. And then we've got another squad over here of 3 more sections of rifle teams, as well as 130 caliber machine gun unit. So what I can't really tell is if these are just these happen to be randomly assigned, or if these are the carryover troops from the last battle. I'm not 100% sure. Okay, and these guys look like they have rifled grenades by the looks of it. Oh, okay, so that's... We can give a unit an extra grenade launcher. What am I doing? Alright. Oh, okay, so I can actually drag... So you have different options up here. So, for example, we can create a ad hoc unit equipped for close combat against tanks, and I can do that just by dragging this over one of the units. So I now have a 2nd Squad 1st BAR team, and we're going to carve off 2 of the men from that unit, and they're going to form a tank hunter team that is equipped with anti-tank grenades, I guess, which aren't going to be super effective, I can't imagine, against enemy tanks. Alright, so we need to fill out 4 more units into our main force and 3 units into our supporting force. I think our supporting force, if we scroll down here, you can see these are all the different units that we can choose here on the right side of the screen that we can assign to our force. Looks like our anti-tank guns are all limited to 37mm anti-tank guns. So what we're going to do here is we're going to assign a battalion anti-tank 37mm anti-tank gun from the battalion anti-tank platoon. That'll go into support. And actually, it looks like regimental anti-tank company would be the same, I'm imagining. I don't really know what the difference is between the regimental anti-tank and the battalion anti-tank platoons, but they're there, so that's a thing. As we scroll up here, there's also a heavy weapons company we can pull troops in from. So, for example, if I assign someone from a heavy weapons battalion company, that'll also go to supporting units. But if I scroll up a little bit further, we can actually assign units from the main force as well. So actually our mortar units look like they're all from the main force. So we've got the 4th Platoon mortar. We've got 2 4th Platoon mortars, 60mm mortars, that we're going to assign to the main force. And then we're also going to go ahead and assign another 30 caliber machine gun from the 4th Platoon within the main force. So now we have 2 30 caliber machine guns, I think. Yes, 2 30 caliber machine guns and 2 60mm mortars, in addition to the 3 rifle squads, the 3 BAR squads, and our platoon headquarters. And then we have 1 more main force and 1 more supporting force unit to assign. What's an A&P squad? I guess they're pioneer squads with like satchels, engineers. Ordinarily, that would interest me to get all those additional men and firepower, but in this scenario, when we know we're going to be facing enemy tanks, I'd rather assign another anti-tank gun. So I guess I'll go 3 37mm anti-tank guns as our supporting force, 2 60mm mortars, 2 30 caliber machine guns, and then let's just add 1 more. Do we want platoon reserves, or do we want live-in replacements referred to basics units to replace casualties in the U.S. Army Reserve platoons commanded by First Sergeant? I think in this case, we're just going to go ahead and we're going to assign another BAR squad, just because for firepower reasons. So we're going to go with 4 BAR squads, 3 rifle squads, a platoon headquarters unit, 2 mortar units, 2 machine gun units, and 3 anti-tank guns, and we'll see how this plays out. In addition, we have 1 tank hunter team within that group. All right, so we are on the map. You can see here we can use our mouse wheel to scroll in and out. This is what the map looks like right now. It feels like a relatively small map for this number of troops to be in. I wonder... Oh, if I hit L, we get like either straight down topographical, or we can get kind of on an angle. Interesting. So these guys have a very good line of sight by the looks of it. These guys less so. We get rather... Move these guys over here. You can see down the roadway. So we've got 2 anti-tank guns, which I think can see over this way. We're going to change their facing a little bit. So you can see the little blue sort of shield in front of a unit represents sort of the direction that they're facing. And you can just kind of click on it, and then it gives you like a little circle if you want to adjust their facing a little bit. These mortars, I don't like I think these guys are kind of exposed out here, aren't they? So what we're going to do is we're going to click on this unit, and then we're just going to click on this unit and drag them to where we want them to be, which I think I'd rather put these guys behind the observation post, like back here. It's on higher ground, as you can kind of tell. What's this guy? This guy has terrible fields of fire. Why would we put him here? So we're going to go ahead and drag this guy maybe over onto this plateau. And we'll see. I mean, honestly, maybe it makes more sense to move him down here. Yeah, then they can see down the road. All right, so we're going to put all 3 of our anti-tank guns sort of grouped on this ridge line overlooking the road because we're assuming that's the direction the enemy armor will come. It's unlikely they're going to move up this way around the flank, or at least that's what I'm assuming. I could be wrong, actually. That might actually be a dangerous assumption. I like the idea of having all 3 guns grouped up in one sort of battery, but perhaps moving them over here would be more wise. Okay. And they can see down this roadway toward the Matifa, if that's how you pronounce it. Just because this is a disputed place, so they may actually not move down the farm. I think the farm is the more logical route for them to advance down, but we'll see. Alright, so additionally, I probably should put a headquarters unit somewhere back toward the observation post. I'm curious if we move... Oh, that's not... Those are machine guns. If we move this... Where is the damn platoon headquarters? Mortars are back here. I like the idea of putting my mortars sort of in a sheltered area and just giving them a link via radio to the actual person who sees what it is they're giving orders about. Where's the platoon headquarters? It's over here. Okay. So I should have actually built a company headquarters and put the company headquarters back in the observation post. That would have been smarter. As it is, their line of sight is pretty terrible if we move them back here. About over here. I mean, where can they see anything? Guess they actually have a pretty good field of view from here. What I'm not sure of if putting these mortars over here allows them to be in contact with the platoon HQ or not. There's no line of sight. I guess we'll see. I'm not really sure. I don't, I'm not an expert in this game by any means. All right, we're going to put this tank hunter squad in this building here. We'll put... I would really like to seize some of these buildings. I'm maybe forward deploying a little bit too much. I might get myself overrun. I'm not sure. But I would like to take the Mefta spot on the map. Put this BAR unit over here in this building on this flank. Put this BAR unit behind this wall. Should put both of these guys are going to be behind what looks like, I'm assuming this is some kind of stone wall. Some kind of barrier, I can't really tell what. So those 3 BAR units there on the left. This guy on the ridge top itself. This 30 cal over here. It's weird that their line of sight wouldn't be as good over there. I mean, they can see a fair bit. The sort of orangish shaded areas they can't see, the lighter areas they can. So they've actually got a decent line of sight up there. They'll have some infantry support with them. Okay, so those squads are on the right. The only thing is with this is you don't get reinforcements, so you're kind of stuck. But with that being said, let's see what happens here. Let's begin.
Enemy spotted. Enemy spotted.
Okay, so an enemy unit. Here's the other thing is with the maps as large as they are, you kind of spawn units already in contact, which is a little bit of a problem, I think. I'm going to go ahead and adjust the gameplay volume down just a little bit. Okay, hopefully that helps. Alright, so you can see there's an enemy... what are these vehicles over here? At least 2 enemy armored vehicles. These look like half-tracks, PSWs, and SDKFZs, as well as a recon car over here. We've got Panzer Grenadier troops. We've got some rifle squads. All, again, already engaged against our troops. These guys are kind of exposed. I don't want to move them because if we do, they'll probably become more exposed. Right now, they're at least, in theory, behind rocks. Meanwhile, these troops are in buildings. In, again, theory with some cover. I'm going to go ahead and order this tank killer unit into this other adjacent building. I don't want to put everybody in this single building here in the rear. Plus, it allows us to secure the objective. And it puts them a little bit more forward to where the enemy tanks might be coming from. I'm not sure I want to actually advance on the enemy. I can hear vehicles. I'm actually going to fast move this BAR squad into this forward building. And if there's no opposition here, we may move toward the only other objectives that the Germans hold, this roadway here, which presumably, if they do get any reinforcements, is where they would come. Oh, shit. Enemy artillery by the looks of it. Looks like a mortar round just fell here to the west of this building. I don't know if that's rubble from the mortar strike. But they've definitely got some artillery spotters here. Actually, we've got some units as well. So we can bring in artillery here. So we're going to do that. I'm not sure how long it takes for that arty to come in. Or if the enemy's still going to be there when I start dropping rounds. Preparing to fire. 3, 2, 1, go. Adjusting fire in 30 seconds. We'll see if anything comes in. Wait, was that my own shot or was that the enemy shot? We just took some casualties in this rifle squad. You can see here these orange represent, I think, wounded and out of action, and the yellow represents maybe minor wounds. I guess we'll drop Arty in here. Why is this artillery coming in behind us? Unless this is German artillery. Where is our artillery coming in? Holy shit. That's coming right down on this rifle squad. This has got to be German mortars. They are under heavy bombardment. I haven't seen any of my artillery coming yet. That was pretty effective enemy artillery, too. That might have been one of our rounds up here. Alright, so we've got our own artillery coming in down now. Firing for effect. That might have been a direct fire round. I mean, our artillery can't be this far off course. It gave us a cone of air, and it was not this far to the rear. Although they seem to be the only rounds coming down, so... Okay, there's a round. I hate to leave these guys out here to get just obliterated. Oh! Whatever that was just came in. 4 or 5 rounds just hit the enemy pretty hard back there. I think our mortar rounds are going to come in for effect. Another 3 or 4 rounds just dropped in there. More enemy casualties. Probably suppressed the enemy a bit. Can we just fast move these guys back to the rear? Can you guys just retreat? You can see here we're hitting the enemy hard. That's a lot of artillery coming down. Unfortunately, some of their infantry squads are in front of the artillery, but you can see just hammering the enemy position here on the edge of the map. I do wish the map was a little bit bigger. It feels a little bit too easy to just be like, oh, the enemy's in that corner. Hit them hard with artillery. I'm going to go ahead and order an airstrike over here. So it looks like we've got air on approach. I'm curious what this is going to look like. We know at least one enemy vehicle is burning. Attacking the target. Air should be incoming. Oh! That didn't do much. I kind of had hoped that they would have, used rockets or something against these armored vehicles that they could very clearly see. What is this? Looks like we destroyed an enemy 2.8 centimeter anti-tank gun, I'm guessing, and then whatever this is, it looks like a PSW-222 destroyed. I think that was mostly by our artillery. I'm not sure if we will get enemy... I'm not sure if we'll get more reinforcements or not from a fire support perspective. You can see this forward rifle team of ours is shot to pieces. But the enemy's more or less been focusing all of its efforts over there. I haven't actually seen anything back in this direction, so I'm actually going to try something here. They're shifting their mortar fire. I'm going to go ahead and move these guys toward this stone wall. We're going to sprint these guys here around the enemy flank, and we're going to see if we can get in behind them and take this objective here. See the strength up here, the Germans have lost a lot more than we have. Mainly, and almost entirely, I'm assuming, to that artillery. They have shifted some artillery fire toward this bar, or BAR unit over here. Oh, shit, man. Okay, so I guess the lesson is probably don't just sit and take enemy artillery fire indefinitely. So we're going to charge these guys down this ridge to get behind this stone wall and hopefully get out from underneath this enemy fire. Because we just lost 2 KIA in this BAR unit. If I had more artillery, I would love to hit this team back here. Can I hit them with my mortars? Or are they too far back and out of contact with the enemy? Is it possible? Is there any way? I would love to fire and hit these guys. Right, enemy vehicles are starting to move. It does say they're aiming. I'm not sure if they can actually do anything. But it does say targeting. Now, it looks like they did just wipe out this forward deployed squad over here. Meanwhile, an enemy infantry unit is moving up here. These grenadiers are moving up on the left location. Perhaps putting my hunter-killer unit in front was unwise. It's a unit of 2 men. You can see we are dropping some mortar rounds in here on the enemy. This BAR unit that I moved forward just got hit by another enemy round of some kind. Pretty badly. We're going to fast move these guys behind this. Why are they in front? I want you behind that wall. Whatever. Half will be in front, half will be behind. See if we can take that last objective point on this map. I wonder if we win if we take the last objective and there's nothing contested. The battle just ends. Alright, So our mortars are still dropping in that valley. I'm not sure if that's the best use of their ammo. Alright, so we did just secure that post. Let's hit these guys over here with mortars. Our troops over by the Nefta objective need some support. You know, you can see one of our units is routing and running. And so we're putting mortar rounds over here against this Panzer Grenadier unit behind these walls, and we're going to put some mortar rounds over here on these guys a little bit more out in the open. Shit. Well, we took the objective, but that squad out in front here is getting shot to pieces. I think I kind of perhaps used my fire support a little bit too soon. Although the battle says it'll end in a minute. Whoa, I hope that wasn't a friendly round that we just dropped on our own men. I'm guessing the enemy only has a minute because we took the last objective, so it's kind of like, you've got a little bit of time to try and change the tide of the battle, otherwise you lose. But I guess the artillery strike did its job. I mean, the enemy's already less than 50% effective in terms of its strength up here. Meanwhile, we just dropped something down on this enemy APC, and you can see a little health icon pop up, which indicates a casualty taken. I don't know if we dropped a rifle grenade down on him. It looks like there are rifle grenades being fired from this BAR unit over here on the flank. Yep, the leader does have a rifle grenade icon on his unit. So you can see on the right side, we've got 3 men unconscious. We've got 3 men up here on the top. Bad shots. This guy's saving ammo. These 2 guys are bad shots. These are regular riflemen with the Garand icon. This guy is a Garand with a rifle grenade on the front. You've got the ammo counts over here, and you've got their health status over here. So just as the battle's coming up on wrapping up. Battle complete. Click to debrief. Oh, click debrief. Duh. A decisive victory. So, Captain, the battle ended because you captured all the objectives. You've secured all objectives in this area. Your casualties were lighter than expected. Well, it didn't feel like it. It looks like in the sum total, we lost 4 men killed, 9 wounded, 13 total. The enemy lost 1 officer wounded. They lost 4 soldiers killed, 19 wounded, so 24 men to 13 on our end. They also lost 1 vehicle destroyed, 1 damaged, which I'm assuming is what wounded means, and they lost 1 gun destroyed. So that fire support that we called in early when the enemy was all grouped on one corner of the map was decisive in giving us the victory. And if we move forward here, you can see this is a decision point. You have forced the enemy to retreat and now have an opportunity to counterattack. If you choose to counterattack and you attack before the enemy does, you will seize the initiative and control the pace of operations. You may also choose to remain on the defensive. So we can, in this case, we can do a hasty counterattack as soon as possible to keep the pressure on the enemy. There's no chance to rest, reorganize, or repair your vehicles. Ammunition resupply will be minimal, and no new fire support will be available. You will attack at 1400 hours, so basically an hour after the last battle start. You can do a prepared counterattack, which will occur 4 hours after. So this would basically give them a 5-hour window. So regroup your units and plan a counterattack. Allows for some rest, rearming, repair, and reorganization. New fire support may become available. So a prepared counterattack, I'm assuming, would allow us to... I'm guessing hasty counterattack is like we take the troops that we had in our last battle into the next fight with roughly their same ammo count, whereas a prepared counterattack might allow us to draw new reserves, new reinforcements. Night counterattack is prepare and plan for a counterattack during the dark of night. Allows for some rest, rearming, repair, and reorganization. New fire support may become available. Note, making a night attack will greatly reduce the time and rest for reorganization and resupply overnight. Or we can defend, in which case we're on the defensive. The enemy has the initiative and will decide the pace and timing of his attacks. If you are able to force the enemy to retreat off map, you can choose to seize the initiative yourself and counterattack, which is what we're doing right now. And so we won't know when we'll fight the next battle if we defend. I'm assuming it will be after 2400 hours, though, so probably the following day, I'm guessing. And so that's sort of how the pace of these operations unfolds. With that being said, I think that's going to do it for this video. Let me know your thoughts, guys. It was a little bit disorganized. This was my first, I would say, combined operations. Not really combined, I mean, I guess. Again, my initial impressions is the game's a lot of fun. I think the 3D map actually does a surprisingly amount of, or adds a surprising amount of value to the close combat series in terms of being able to determine elevation and things like that for the way that the tactical battles play out. I do wish at least Sabiba Ridge was larger. I don't know if maybe the other battles will be on bigger maps, but if they're not, it feels a little bit cramped for the number of troops that you have if you're really going to be maneuvering and doing anything other than just frontal assaults. I'd like a little bit more space. Also, the limited size of the maps means that if you have fire support, you can really focus in on the one spot you know all the enemy troops are going to be starting on the map, and you can pound them. And I mean, we won the battle because, oh my goodness, immediately, as soon as the battle was fought, we knew exactly where the enemy was because they were already in our line of sight, and we knew that the very corner of the map was very small, and so we could focus 3 groupings. You know, we had the air attack, we had the artillery attack, and I think the mortar attack. We all just crammed into the same spot, and that did most of our damage. So I think a little bit larger map would allow for more fog of war, which would perhaps reduce the strength of the initial bombardment that you get with your fire support. That being said, I am enjoying my time with this game so far, and I'm curious to see what you guys think. Until next time, thank you guys for tuning in once again, and this is the Historical Gamer saying thank you for watching, and I'm out.